You know, in Star Trek, when they talk about their tech and like remodulating shields and whatnot, it doesn't technically make sense because it doesn't exist, but within itself, it seems to follow a certain logic, and you can just accept, okay, this is what this tech does, this is how it works, and this is how much they can do with it. Here it's just like, Gwen wants to do something, so she can do it, whether it makes sense or not. Doesn't matter. Hey guys, welcome back to the read-along of the Cyborg Tinkerer by Meg LaTorre. I'm gonna squish 3 chapters into this today, so there might only be one more video after this with the ending, possibly. Let's hope I don't find too much to complain about in these. Chapter 36 deals with Rora running off to free the dragon, because he's now being used as a diversion, the poor animal. She gets to the stables, the dragon just snarls at her, and Rora's like, oh, stop this, I'm trying to help you. It's like, well, clearly he doesn't understand human language, and even if he did, why the hell would he trust you? You're the reason he's in this freaking cage. She puts it like this, I shouldn't have expected a warm welcome here. No shit, Rora, no shit. Rora gets herself a pair of cutters and tries to get rid of the padlock, but really struggles even with her cyborg hand. It's quite tough to get that off, and while she's struggling along, the dragon keeps clawing at her, and she thinks about how she never even got the chance to perform for the Emperor. An admirer of the arts who would consider revoking the cyborg prohibition law, the very law that he put in place. Why did anybody think that he was interested in changing the law? I really don't understand it. Not a single person seems to be intelligent enough to question this in the first place. I also like how Rora thinks about the important bits. You know, she couldn't perform. How terrible, because that really matters after so many people died. And she's currently trying to free a dragon who will then probably set the city on fire. But it matters that she couldn't perform. While she thinks back on the competition, she finally manages to open the padlock. She ruins her cyborg hand in the process. And the best part is the dragon was nice enough to wait to spit fire until she had freed him. He couldn't have roasted her while she was fiddling with the padlock or anything. No, he waited until she freed him. So either this dragon is intelligent enough to figure out, okay, she's trying to get me out of here, or he's not, in which case he would have attacked before and not just went, I'm trying to get you. So, I doubt we'll ever get to find out how intelligent this dragon actually is, but I think for now it's like weirdly flip-flopping, and this will come back up in one of the next chapters. So after the dragon sets the stables on fire and the roof collapses, he then starts off and ignores Rora. Apparently she was not important enough to, get chomped on or something. I don't know. Dragon runs off, and so does Rora. In chapter 37, we're back with Gwen, who is on her way to the ship with Mizana and everybody else, but because Rora hadn't made it back to the garden yet, she tells everybody to just go off without her and runs back to the palace herself, because by now they can see that the dragon has been freed, and it's like, ooh, Rora made it. She's just not managed to get back yet. Which shouldn't be a surprise, because she had way more ground to cover and something to do while the others were just walking through the palace, but whatever. So Rora hasn't made it back there yet. And Gwen takes off to the palace, gets her skimmer and her bag, and then goes for the dragon, who's just sunning himself on a rooftop, shoots at him, and then leads him towards all of the guards, feds, city guards, whatever, that's assembled to stop all of the cyborgs. This poor dragon, seriously. The thing that he was just freed after having surgery, because I think he is part cyborg now, after having surgery done on him and being captured and hurt and whatnot, and now he's free, he's just chilling on a rooftop and then gets shot at. It's like, god damn it, can you fix your problems without abusing this poor animal any further? Gwen actually has the nerve to think, sorry little buddy, to herself. It's like, fuck you, Gwen, I hope you fall off your skimmer and break your neck. Because Gwen leads the dragon towards all of those soldiers who then in turn shoot both at her and the dragon, The dragon is preoccupied with the soldiers after, and Gwen has some mental capacity to worry about the force field going up, which would prevent them from leaving the city. I would like to think that the first purpose of this force field is to actually protect the city and not to trap people inside, but whichever. She's now worried about that, so we know it's gonna pop up in a second. Gwen goes back to find Mizana and the others, and they head to the ship together. And on their way, a single guy comes up to them and tries to push the group out of the way. I'm not sure how that works. How would a single guy possibly push a whole group? I mean, we're talking at least 10 performers here. What are you going to do? You driving a bulldozer to make this happen or what? Anyway, Gwen scares him off with her empty pistol. And Emmeline appears as well with all of her watchmen. She fiddles with her magnificent red button. And all of the watchmen start working on the ship to get ready for takeoff. The best part in this whole scene for me was Gwen has handed the chip for Bastion to Mizana and is now just standing by the docks shouting at Mizana to put the chip back while she has to go and deal with the force field, while not even knowing where Mizana is. It literally says in the book she has no idea where Mizana has gone off to, but she's just standing there shouting, you know, over people fleeing, fire roaring places, possibly people getting shot, and in general a lot of people around, and she just stands there shouting. It's like, yeah, she will have heard whatever she's supposed to do. It's like, yeah, sure, Gwen, sure. But as ever, Gwen's priorities are a bit questionable, and she takes a second out of her very busy schedule to stare at Bastion and think, come back to me, I need you. And I'm just here like, oh, fuck off. Of course, now the force field goes up, and you can actually watch a ship getting cut in half mid-air and then falling back into the water. Good times. So in chapter 38, Gwen has to worry about this force field and what to do about it. And we get this bit from her. The force field was made of energy, plasma or particles and was likely tied to a doctored up reverse gravitational machine of sorts. So you don't know what the force field is made of, and you're not sure about the machine either. I mean, to be fair, she's an engineer, so if you send anybody to deal with it, if it doesn't just have an on-off button, or, you know, something that is easily handled, then okay, that makes sense. But really, she just told me that she knows nothing about this. So Gwen worries about her new family and all of her friends, you know, all of the 4 people she cares about. And then she talks herself up a bit. She needs some confidence to believe that she can actually deal with the force field generator. She reminds herself that she solved Rora and Mizana's sleeping curse. You know, sleeping curse, because that's a technical term now. Also from what I understood in the chapter where she reset Mizana and Rora's chip, that was the Cyborg Tinkerer equivalent of, have you tried turning it off and on again? Because the line from the last chapter wasn't enough. She stares at Bastion some more, thinks about him as a beast again, and you know, whenever I read beast now, I'll just get the urge to slap somebody. Unfortunately, I can't. And also, because you will see later how good Gwen is at fighting, it would probably be fatal if I slapped her, but... Gwen grabs all of her stuff and heads back to the palace, where the force field seems to be originating. She flies past the dragon, who is still holding visiting hours with the guards, but apparently goes unnoticed and just heads into the palace. And I think it's a really rubbish way to describing how she's using this poor animal, which has been abused, operated on and trapped for quite some time, how she uses this poor animal to get her way. Gwen gets to the generator and there are 6 guys in steel armor protecting it. But it's okay, Gwen hasn't told us that she's so good at fighting for no reason. Flying down, she groaned before removing her pistol and a knife. Half a dozen guards in steel armor surrounded the massive generator. She fired her pistol, shooting a man in the head. At the same time, a knife flew from her other hand and connected with the second guard's neck. Both fell to the ground. So Gwen is flying down somewhere on her skimmer, shoots with one hand, throws the knife with the other hand, and I guess you can just stand on this, like freestyling it, even though you're going down and not straight up. You'd think gravity has an influence on her somehow, but it doesn't. She can shoot with one hand, throw with the other, and still stay on this damn skimmer. Also, is a knife really that helpful? Because she will throw more knives right after this. And is a knife really the weapon you want against the steel armor? Unless you have definitely aim, which she obviously has, but you know, I mean, how many people do? Unless you have deathly aim, not really useful. You'll just go pling and do nothing. So despite starting this fight with a still broken leg and being in pain, Gwen just totally obliterates those 4 remaining guys. She gets shot in the shoulder in the process, but that doesn't stop her. She's bleeding like hell, doesn't matter, she has a generator to deal with. She rewires a few things. The thing is still running. She doesn't just want to switch it off because then the next person that comes to the room can just turn it back on and they're still trapped. So far so good. She needs to properly sabotage it. So she rewires a couple of things and that doesn't do any good. But it's okay because now the dragon turns back up. For some reason, despite not reacting to her while she was flying to the palace, it now guns straight for an opening in the ceiling. Either it sees the origin of the force field and doesn't like that, but then again, it would imply that the dragon is intelligent enough to understand that there is a force field and that you can actually see the whole thing, not just the origin spewing it up into the atmosphere. I don't know. I don't know how anything in this world works. I think we've established that. But yeah, the dragon comes for it, and because the next best thing in there is then to attack Gwen. Gwen uses the dragon fire to melt the generator, but gets hurt in the process. Her leather jacket goes up in flames and her arm is burned, but she makes it out of there. Generator gets melted and the force field comes down, and now she can run back to the ship with the dragon on her heels. While Gwen is hightailing it for the ship, we also get some really good writing. She nearly lost her footing as the pain in her leg throbbed nearly unbearably. Yeah, nearly enough to make me believe that Gwen is not the Terminator. In the meantime, the ship has left the water down, is actually mid-air, so Gwen just revs her engine and tries to go after it. But because she's lost so much blood and being human finally catches up to her, she faints and falls off. And the chapter ends with back toward the Scarlet Dragon. It's like the dragon is not your primary concern right now, because if you fall from this height, unless this dragon trumps you mid-fall, you'll die on impact. So it's not just the dragon that's your problem here. Yeah, it's safe to say that Gwen is just so OP. I mean, if you can just knock out 6 armored guards like that while you have a broken leg and are at a severe disadvantage, but no, that doesn't stop Gwen. And the dragon really is a Deus Ex Machina here, because its behavior makes no sense. 1 second it's happy to just hang out on a roof after quite the ordeal. It gets shot at once and then it just goes mental and it even comes after Gwen. Well, unless it's coming after the force field, but again, I don't see why it would suddenly have the intelligence to do that. I don't know. There might only be 1 video left in this. Oh well, and then a final thing on how to fix the Cyborg Tinkerer, because I made some notes and I have some more complaining to do, I think, overall. Not just chapter by chapter, but that's for later. Anyway, I quite enjoy the read-along format, so if you have any suggestions for other books, please drop them in the comments. Doesn't have to be a bad book per se either. We can also talk about good books. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll be back next week with another video. Like and subscribe if you want to help this channel out. And leave your suggestions for the next read-along in the comments. Bye guys!